But first, my brain dump. What is forgiveness? I mean, put simply, it's normally about accepting that somebody made a mistake, they're sorry about that mistake, and we agree not to hold it against them going forward. So should we forgive Prince Andrew? The Archbishop of Canterbury, the most senior religious leader in Britain, suggested that we should mark the Queen's Platinum Jubilee by, well, doing that.
With Prince Andrew, I think we all have to step back a bit. He's seeking to make amends, and I think that's a very good thing.
But is he seeking to make amends, or is Prince Andrew seeking to repair his battered reputation and try and retain some semblance of relevance in public life? If forgiveness is accepting that someone made a mistake, we need to know what mistake Prince Andrew believes he made. There are plenty to choose from. Was it heaping global embarrassment on his mother, the Queen, and the monarchy? Was it remaining close friends with paedophile Jeffrey Epstein after he admitted and was convicted of child abuse? Was it giving the most toe-curling interview in royal history, in which he ridiculously claimed that a meal at a pizza restaurant and his inability to sweat proved his innocence? This grand old Duke of York has had 10,000 excuses. Now, Prince Andrew said he would fight to clear his name when Virginia Giuffre accused him of sexually assaulting her at the age of 17. Then at the very last minute, he didn't do that. He didn't go to court. Instead, he wrote a massive cheque to Miss Giuffre to settle things. I would say that forgiveness starts with explaining why he did that. Why would you give millions of dollars to somebody if you believe you did nothing wrong and, in fact, you never even met that person? All we've seen from Prince Andrew is, I'm going to clear my name, followed by, actually, I'm writing a big fat cheque for this to go away. That's not acceptance or repentance. And I'm sorry, but I think the public might find the forgiveness part that the Archbishop of Canterbury is suggesting very hard without them. We're talking of disgraced men who may or may not need national redemption. He's run out of excuses, he's running out of friends. Is Boris Johnson now running out of time? The British Prime Minister's had a turbulent premiership with a pandemic, the illegal lockdown party scandal, and now ruinous inflation. But it's ferocious friendly fire from his own Tory MPs now doing the worst damage, and I believe it will be politically fatal. 28 of Johnson's own Conservative members of Parliament have now publicly called for him to quit. If 54 of them write letters of no confidence, he'll face a vote that may have him packing his bags at number 10. And frankly, I think he should. Tonight, his own ethics advisor said that the ministerial code, the Bible of standards for the most powerful people in the country, faces ridicule because Johnson won't admit if he broke it. How much more condemnation can one man sustain? Boris Johnson's whole brand has been built on bluster, blather and bull, that and making people laugh. A leader can get away with that in the good times, but when times get tough, none of it seems quite so funny anymore. When people are dying, losing their jobs, can't find the money to feed their children. And especially when voters discover that the man who locked them down for several years was a shameless hypocrite, partying it up in Downing Street with his staff. I've got my own letter to the Prime Minister. It's a very short one. Dear Boris, the party's over. Resign. Universities used to be places where students were keen to broaden their minds by hearing different views. Now they're becoming seething woke hotbeds of vicious, violent intolerance. The latest target was British Education Secretary Nadhim Zahawhi, visiting Warwick University in the Midlands. A few... Charming people. Yeah, a furious mob of howling students hounded Zahawi off the campus, hurling abuse at him, and in one case physically hitting a member of the Conservative Association who'd invited him. And what was his crime exactly? Well, the protesters accused him of inciting hatred by defining a woman as an adult human female. That's not hatred, that's a simple biological fact. What the hell is going on at our universities? There's now a sort of complete intolerance of free speech among many of these students who've been apparently brainwashed by the cancel culture mentality. They need to realise that in the real world, not everybody will agree with them. And if they want to live in the kind of tolerant society that they constantly preach about, well, they can start by tolerating other people's opinions, especially when, like Mr. Zahawi, those opinions happen to be correct. Now, a public service broadcast for our friends across the pond. It's the Americans' guide to the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, which you'll be hearing so much about in the next few days. Now, the Jubilee is when Brits celebrate our monarch. The monarch is, well, like a president, only without the politics or the power, which is why we tend to like them. And unlike other royal events which celebrate change, coronations, weddings, funerals, a Jubilee celebrates the lack of change, namely that the monarch is still alive. If that doesn't sound like much, only 6 of our monarchs have ever made it to a golden Jubilee for 50 years on the throne. Only 2 made it to their diamond Jubilee for 60. And only 1, Her Majesty, our current monarch, has ever gone platinum after 70 years in the hottest seat imaginable. And we celebrate all this with massive street parties because, well, they're free and everyone gets too drunk to drive home anyway. Like the Queen, it often rains over us. We don't care about the weather. We hang up something called bunting, which are little paper flags tied to lampposts because, well, I don't know, because we've always hung bunting. We eat sandwiches, cucumber normally. We drink tea, Yorkshire Gold is my preference, and Victoria Sponge, which is a big cake named after another monarch. I'll also be attending the cricket at Lord's because that's what we do as well. And if all this seems a little bit strange to you in America, especially when there's so much very serious stuff going on, well, frankly, for the next few days, we don't care because we get to have 4 days off, the pubs are open late, and we love our Queen. Uncensored next, as the letters of no confidence continue to pile up. Is it time to say bye-bye, Boris? And later, the world's most outspoken, uncensored human being, former Sex Pistols frontman John Lydon, a.k.a. Johnny Rock.